Elena had always prided herself on being a careful shopper. She kept a running tally of her groceries spending each month, and for years, her budget had hovered around $700 for her family of three. She bought the same brands, the same snacks, the same milk, and the same coffee. Everything seemed consistent. Or at least, it used to. Then, one spring, she noticed something odd. The boxes of cereal she bought were disappearing faster. A tub of yogurt vanished in half the time it had last month. Even the bread seemed to vanish overnight. Her initial thought was that her teenage daughter had suddenly developed a voracious appetite, or that maybe her son was sneaking cookies late at night. So, naturally, Elena bought more. By the end of the month, her bill had climbed to $760, then $800, then $875. She blamed herself. Maybe she had miscalculated, or maybe she had started buying more indulgent snacks without noticing. Inflation, she told herself, must have caught up. What Elena didn't realize, and what almost nobody notices without careful measurement, was that she wasn't buying more food. She was buying the same amount of food, but getting less. The cereal box that once held 22 ounces now contained 18.5. The yogurt tub that used to weigh 48 ounces was now 42. And even the paper towels she had bought for years, advertised as super rolls, had quietly dropped from 250 sheets per roll to 230. These weren't random errors. This was a strategy, carefully planned, designed so that most people wouldn't notice. Human brains are notoriously poor at judging small differences in volume and weight, and the companies selling these products know it. It's a tactic called shrinkflation. Instead of raising the price of a product, corporations shrink the product ever so slightly while keeping the price the same. You feel like you're paying the same, but in reality, you're paying more per ounce, per piece, per serving. And it's happening across thousands of everyday items, from chips to toothpaste to laundry detergent. I'm Alex, and I've spent a lot of time looking at how these subtle shifts are quietly draining your wallet. If you've ever wondered why your groceries never seem to last as long or why your paycheck doesn't stretch like it used to, this story is for you. What follows isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a documented practice, openly discussed in corporate strategy meetings and perfected over decades. Here's why shrinkflation works so well. Our brains are wired to notice price changes, but ignore size changes. When we shop, the first thing we see is the number on the price tag. That number is large, bold, and directly tied to the pain of handing over money. Size, on the other hand, is subtle. We rarely weigh our cereal or check the volume of ice cream tubs. A box that's 5% shorter and 2% narrower than the one you bought last month barely registers visually. Companies have spent millions testing exactly how much they can reduce a product before consumers notice. The answer? Usually between 10% and 25%, depending on the product. Take chips, for example. Most of the air in a bag is now excess air, not a necessary cushion for transport. Bags that once were 50% product, 50% air, are now 30% product, 70% air. That $4.50 you paid was mostly nitrogen, not snacks. Other products follow similar patterns. Cookies and crackers often have fewer pieces per package. Beverages sometimes contain more water or filler ingredients while maintaining the same overall volume. Even luxury chocolate bars and frozen foods aren't immune. And the most striking part? These changes are gradual. A 2% decrease here, a 5% decrease there, month after month. By the time you notice, the loss is substantial, and your wallet has quietly absorbed it. Consider household staples. A popular laundry detergent once promised 50 loads per bottle. Now, with the same packaging, it lasts for 35 to 40 loads. Toothpaste tubes shrink. Coffee tins contain fewer ounces. These aren't minor adjustments. They add up. For a typical American family, if shrinkflation across all groceries averages just 10%, that's nearly $1,000 a year in hidden losses. Over a decade, that's $10,000. Over a lifetime, tens of thousands of dollars vanish in plain sight. Elena's story is typical. She had no way of noticing the change, and most of us are in the same position. Our shopping habits, trusting brands, relying on familiar packaging, and comparing prices without checking unit costs, leave us vulnerable. And the companies know this. Their profit margins didn't shrink during periods of high inflation. In fact, they often expanded. They've mastered the art of taking more from us while appearing fair and consistent. This is not random. It's a systematic strategy. Corporations have developed multiple techniques to maintain the illusion of consistency while quietly reducing what you get. 1. Dimensional manipulation. Packages are redesigned so they take up the same shelf space but contain less. Jars of peanut butter, bottles of shampoo, even juice cartons. Many now have indents or pinched shapes that reduce volume without changing appearance. 2. Air inflation. Particularly in chips and snacks, bags are mostly air. Marketing claims it protects the product, which is true to a point, but the ratio has been pushed far beyond necessity. 3. Count reduction. Cookies, crackers, nuggets. Numbers per package are quietly reduced while the overall container looks the same. 4. Dilution. Liquids and pastes are reformulated with filler or water. Soap, juice, sauces, even frozen foods can contain less of the active ingredient than before. 5. Serving size adjustment. Nutrition labels might list more servings per package than before, so even if the package looks normal, it runs out faster than you expect. Most people don't notice because they don't check unit prices. Shelf tags display cost per ounce, per count, or per sheet, but few shoppers use them. A 2023 survey found only 14% of consumers regularly compare unit prices. The rest rely on the package price, habit, and brand loyalty. That's the loophole companies exploit. When inflation hit hard in 2021, many corporations faced a choice: raise prices visibly and risk backlash, or shrink products invisibly and maintain the illusion of stability. Most chose both. The effective cost per ounce of many items jumped far more than official inflation numbers indicate. While government reports might show food prices rising by 10%, the reality, after accounting for shrinkflation, was closer to 20 to 25%. The takeaway is clear. These strategies are deliberate, data-driven, and designed to exploit predictable cognitive blind spots. Elena didn't fail because she was careless. She failed because the system is built against untrained perception. Brands don't owe her honesty. They owe shareholders profits. And they've discovered a way to extract it quietly, legally, and effectively. Once you understand the mechanics of shrinkflation, it becomes easier to see how deep the system goes. It's not just about a slightly smaller box of cereal or a tub of yogurt. Every aisle, every shelf, every display is part of a carefully designed environment meant to extract maximum value from your spending without triggering your awareness. Take the grocery store itself. It's easy to assume that it's a neutral space, a place where you make choices based on need or preference. In reality, every decision you make there has been anticipated, measured, and optimized by behavioral scientists and retail designers. High-level shelves are reserved for the highest margin products, not the best deals. End caps and promotional displays are often paid advertising, not recommendations. Music, lighting, cart size, even the layout of the aisles, all of it nudges you towards spending more and noticing less. Companies are exploiting two key human weaknesses: habits and cognitive overload. Most people shop on autopilot. We grab what we know, what looks familiar, what we've bought before. When unit prices are small, printed in fine text, and inconsistent across brands, sometimes per ounce, sometimes per 100 grams, most shoppers don't bother calculating. The mental effort is too high, especially with kids asking for snacks and carts already half full. This creates a perfect storm for shrinkflation to thrive. Consider some real-world examples that have flown under the radar. Snack bars, once sold in 50-gram sizes, are now 42 grams. Frozen vegetables are packaged in identical-looking bags, but weigh 10 to 15% less. Coffee cans, toothpaste tubes, and laundry detergent bottles have all seen similar reductions. Even products you wouldn't think of as shrinkflation targets, like pet food or cleaning supplies, follow the same pattern. These reductions are often gradual, spread over months or years, so the change is almost imperceptible. And yet, the impact is real. For an average family spending $9,500 per year on groceries, just a 10% average reduction in product quantity adds up to nearly $1,000 in hidden costs annually. Over a decade, that's $10,000 lost. Over a lifetime, it can exceed $40,000. Multiply this across millions of households, and the financial impact on consumers is massive, while corporate profit margins remain strong or even grow. The more you look, the more you see that shrinkflation isn't random. Companies use precise strategies designed to maintain the illusion of stability while increasing profits. 1. Dimensional manipulation. Packages are redesigned so that they occupy the same shelf space but contain less. A peanut butter jar with a concave bottom or a shampoo bottle with pinched sides may look identical to the old design, but hides a smaller volume inside. The same goes for juice cartons, frozen meals, and canned goods. 2. Air injection. Particularly common in snack foods like chips or puffs, the amount of air inside the package has increased dramatically. While some air is necessary to prevent breakage during transport, most packages now contain far more air than needed. You pay the same amount for less actual product. 3. Count reduction. Items sold by quantity rather than weight are subtly reduced in number. Packages of cookies, crackers, or even frozen chicken nuggets often contain fewer pieces than before, without changing the packaging or marketing claims. 4. Dilution. Liquids and pastes are sometimes reformulated with filler ingredients or water. The volume may remain the same, but the effective amount of active product is reduced. Laundry detergents, juices, sauces, and condiments often fall into this category. 5. Serving size adjustments. Nutrition labels and serving suggestions are sometimes altered to mask shrinkage. A package may appear to contain enough for 10 servings, but each serving is smaller than before. This creates the illusion of more value while the product is used up just as quickly. Even when shoppers attempt to fight back by comparing unit prices, corporations make it difficult. Some products list price per ounce, others per 100 grams. Some use units like sheets, tablespoons, or milliliters. The inconsistency increases cognitive load, discouraging consumers from making accurate comparisons. Most shoppers give up, grab familiar brands, and keep buying what they've always bought. That's exactly what the companies rely on. Shrinkflation accelerated dramatically after 2021, when inflation hit the global economy. Corporations faced a dilemma: raise prices visibly and risk consumer backlash, or shrink products invisibly and maintain the illusion of stability. Many chose to do both. The result was double extraction, higher effective prices per unit, while officially reported prices appeared stable. For example, frozen food and grocery categories often saw per-ounce prices rise by 25 to 40% between 2021 and 2023, far above reported inflation rates. The scale of these reductions is staggering. Consider these examples. A popular snack drink that used to be 32 ounces was reduced to 28 ounces, a 12% cut, with price unchanged. Premium coffee went from 50 ounces to 42 ounces, a 16% reduction. Toilet paper advertised as mega rolls quietly shrank by 20% in sheet count. Chocolate bars, frozen meals, and pet food all followed similar patterns. These numbers aren't a coincidence. They are backed by extensive market research. Companies know exactly how much shrinkage consumers will tolerate before noticing, and they implement changes gradually to avoid detection. For most consumers, noticing shrinkflation requires deliberate attention and effort. People like Elena, who trust familiar brands and glance at prices without checking unit measures, are easy targets. But awareness is powerful. Once you start observing packaging, measuring quantities, and comparing unit costs, shrinkflation becomes visible, and the company's control over your wallet diminishes. At this point, you might be thinking that shrinkflation is unavoidable, that no matter how careful you are, you'll always get less than you paid for. That's partially true. You can't eliminate the practice entirely, but you can reduce its impact. Being conscious of it allows you to make smarter choices and make your money work harder. The first step is simple. Start comparing unit prices systematically. Shelf tags almost always display cost per ounce, per count, or per sheet. Make that your default shopping habit, not an afterthought. Over a few weeks, your eye will adapt, and you'll start noticing when packages shrink, when brands are no longer the best value, and when store brands outperform national brands. The second step is to buy by weight or count whenever possible. Bulk bins, deli counters, and open market options allow you to pay precisely for what you get. If you need 12 ounces of almonds, buy 12 ounces, not a pre-packaged bag with hidden shrinkage. The same applies to deli meats, cheeses, and other products where you can measure quantities directly. The third step is documentation. Take photos of packages and their weights over time.
When you notice shrinkage, switch brands, or buy alternatives. Companies respond to lost revenue far more than consumer complaints. Each switch is a signal that someone noticed, and collective consumer behavior influences corporate decisions.
Finally, adopt a strategic mindset. Understand that grocery stores are not neutral marketplaces. They are carefully designed extraction environments. Once you see the system this way, your defenses activate. You stop assuming that everything you buy is fair. You begin to verify, compare, and optimize, which is exactly what corporations hope most people will never do. By now, it should be clear that the grocery store is not simply a place to buy food. It's a carefully engineered environment designed to take advantage of human psychology, habits, and blind spots. Every shelf, every label, every package is part of a system that has been optimized to extract value from you while keeping you unaware. The brands you trust aren't inherently malicious. They're profit-driven, and shrinkflation is simply one of the tools in their toolkit. Take Lisa, another shopper who had been loyal to a particular brand of frozen pizza for years. She noticed that, over time, the boxes felt lighter. The crust was thinner, the toppings were smaller, yet the price remained the same. Like Elena before her, Lisa assumed she was imagining it. But after tracking weights and comparing packages, she realized she was paying the same for 20% less pizza. When she switched to a competitor, the difference was startling. More pizza, better ingredients, and often a lower price per ounce. The lesson is clear. Measurement is your defense. Awareness is your weapon. Shrinkflation isn't limited to food. Household goods, personal care products, and even pet food follow the same pattern. Shampoo bottles may have the same height, but less volume. Paper towels and toilet paper quietly lose sheets per roll. Cat food bags shrink in size while the price stays constant. Even toothpaste tubes now contain less paste per squeeze. Over time, these subtle reductions accumulate into significant losses for the average family. One key reason shrinkflation works so well is that humans struggle with relative perception. We notice absolute changes, like a price jump from $5 to $6, but subtle reductions, like a box losing 10% of its contents, are harder to detect. This cognitive bias has a name: attribute neglect. Essentially, when evaluating value, we focus on some aspects: price, brand familiarity, appearance, while ignoring others, like size or quantity. Corporations know this, and they exploit it expertly. Let's look at some recent examples of shrinkflation in action. A brand of frozen chicken nuggets went from 12 pieces per bag to 9. The packaging remained identical. A popular juice brand reduced bottle size from 64 ounces to 52 ounces. Premium chocolate bars shrank by 8 to 12%, with new shapes and designs giving the illusion of a full bar. Paper towels and toilet paper lost 10 to 20% of sheets per roll, with packaging that claimed more value or family size. The point is not to make you paranoid about every product, but to show that this is a widespread, systematic approach. Companies have found a way to extract billions of dollars from consumers quietly and legally. So what can you do? First, shift your mindset. Accept that the grocery store is not neutral. It's not a fair marketplace. It's a battleground for your attention and your money. Once you see it this way, your shopping decisions change. You stop trusting packaging blindly and start verifying the value of every product you purchase. Second, make unit price comparison a habit. It takes time, 2 or 3 weeks of consistent practice. But once your eye is trained, shrinkflation becomes obvious. You'll notice the differences in ounces, sheets, or grams that once went unnoticed. Store brands or less marketed alternatives often outperform expensive, familiar brands in terms of value per unit. This simple practice alone can save hundreds of dollars each year. Third, buy in ways that minimize uncertainty. Bulk bins, deli counters, and open market products allow you to pay for exactly what you receive. You determine the quantity, and you can see the price per unit transparently. Avoid pre-packaged items when possible, or at least cross-check them against competitors to see if the deal is genuine. Fourth, document and track changes. Take photos of product packaging and weights periodically. When you notice shrinkage, vote with your wallet. Switch brands, try store alternatives, or buy differently. Corporations respond to lost revenue far more than complaints. Your purchasing choices are your strongest signal. Finally, adopt a long-term perspective. Shrinkflation is legal, It is deliberate, and it will continue as long as consumers accept it without attention. You cannot control the system entirely, but you can refuse to be an easy target. Every ounce verified, every unit price compared, every brand switched is a small victory against hidden extraction. Understanding shrinkflation also helps you interpret economic data more realistically. When official reports show moderate food inflation, the reality in your kitchen might be much different. A price tag might stay the same, but the value per unit has decreased, effectively increasing your cost. Recognizing this allows you to make better financial decisions and demand more value for your spending. Remember, this isn't about fear or paranoia. It's about empowerment. When you start seeing the grocery store as a designed environment rather than a neutral marketplace, you take control of your spending. You stop being a passive target and become an active participant in protecting the value of your money. Shrinkflation is not a secret plot. It is openly acknowledged in corporate earnings calls and strategy discussions. Companies understand human cognitive limitations and leverage them. They design packaging, adjust serving sizes, inject air, and alter counts, all while keeping prices stable. Their success depends entirely on our inaction and inattention. Elena and Lisa's experiences teach a broader lesson. The only way to fight back is with awareness, deliberate action, and consistency. Compare unit prices, document changes, buy by weight when possible, and switch brands strategically. The corporations are not going to make it easy, but your vigilance translates into real savings and a deeper understanding of how value is extracted in everyday life. Finally, always remember this: the grocery store is not your friend. It's a carefully constructed environment. Recognize it, act with knowledge, and your dollars will go further. The products that shrink without notice are not a reflection of your failure. They are the result of decades of research, design, and psychology deployed to extract more while you look elsewhere. By taking control, you change the game. Every ounce you verify, every product you measure, every brand you abandon sends a message. You're not just saving money, you're refusing to be exploited. The system works only because you allow it. By becoming attentive, informed, and proactive, you become the kind of consumer companies fear, one who doesn't just pay, but ensures they get full value in return. The next time you walk down an aisle, pick up a package, or add a product to your cart, remember Elena and Lisa. Notice the weight, the quantity, the unit price. Look beyond the marketing claims. Every informed choice you make undermines the quiet, invisible tax that shrinkflation imposes. Your attention is your first defense, and your actions are the ultimate response. I spend a lot of time paying attention to the small details most people are never taught to look for, so you don't have to. If this changed the way you see your grocery store, take a second to like the video and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.